in the global IGF framework that focuses on the unique challenges and opportunities faced by SIDS in the realm of internet governance and digital transformation. The CTU is an institution of CARICOM focusing on ICT policy development to promote the social and economic development of our 20 member states. Today represents part 2, as I said, of the second, well, I didn't say that, but today represents part 2 of the second SIDS IGF, since we held a virtual session yesterday, specifically to facilitate the participation of SIDS stakeholders who could not be here in person in Antigua and Barbuda. We hosted over 100 participants from around the world, including the Indian Ocean Commission, the Asian Development Bank, the Global Forum on Cyber Expertise, Diplo Foundation, UNDP, the Office of the UN Secretary General's Envoy in Technology, among others. We hosted speakers from Samoa, Tonga, Mauritius, and Papua New Guinea. And we take a moment to extend our condolences to the people of Papua New Guinea, given their recent deadly landslide. Internet governance has evolved significantly since its inception as a global concern. It began as a response to the need for a more inclusive and transparent process for managing the rapidly expanding internet. And this led to the establishment of the IGF under the auspices of the United Nations in 2006, following the World Summit on the Information Society in 2005. The IGF serves as a multi-stakeholder platform for dialogue on internet policy issues. It brings together governments, private sector, civil society, and the technical community representatives to discuss and shape the development and use of the internet in a way that promotes security, sustainability, stability, and development. Is there anyone here who does not use the internet? Exactly. So the IGF has evolved a lot, and of course now dealing with issues including artificial intelligence. Within this global framework, NRIs, or national and regional initiatives, play a critical role. NRIs are independent forums that operate at national and regional levels to address specific internet governance issues relevant to the local context. They enable grassroots participation and ensure that diverse perspectives contribute to the global dialogue on internet governance. In the context of small states, several NRIs have been established to address the unique challenges and opportunities faced by these regions. I was privileged as chairman of the Internet Society of the Barbuda chapter of the Internet Society to host Barbudas's first IGF in 2017. And I must also let you know that the Caribbean Internet Governance Forum is the oldest IGF in the world. We also take note of the IGFs such as the Pacific IGF, African IGF, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago IGFs, among others. These initiatives are vital for ensuring that the voices and concerns of small states are heard in the global arena and that they have the capacity and resources to participate effectively in the digital age. I want to thank all of you who have agreed to participate today and to share your knowledge and expertise. I trust that we will have an invigorating discussion and full participation of our attendees, and that our discussions will contribute to the broader objectives of promoting sustainable development of SIDS, including the advancement of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Sustainable Development Goals. I would now like to invite the Honorable Minister Nicholas, Minister of Information and Communications Technologies, Utilities and Energy of the Government of Antigua and Barbuda, an elected member of Parliament for the last 10 years for the constituency of St. John's City East. Is that right? Okay, past president of the CTU, regarded as a senior minister within our regional conference of ICT ministers, and our gracious host to give us the opening remarks. Please give him a welcome that is as warm as the Antigua and Barbuda weather. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rodney. Thank you very much, Rodney. Let me take the opportunity to, ordinarily I wish you a warm Antiguan welcome, but quite uncharacteristically, this meeting room 11 is a little bit more cool than the other rooms that I've been in for the past 2 days. So let me also, in addition to wishing you a warm welcome, wish you also a cool welcome to this room. But yeah, Antigua is really happy to be the host of this SIDS4 conference, and we're even more happy in terms of us being able to host this second SIDS IGF as a side event in this important SIDS4 global conference. The CTO has been coordinating the work of its member states in the area of internet governance for the past 20 years. And as Rodney just indicated, it had provided the foundation pillar for the development of IGFs globally. The CTU was the original brainchild of establishing a framework for internet governance. And so it takes center stage in this particular area. So it has provided quite a bit of leadership. And I know Rodney's work with the CTU, as well as all others who have preceded him, are well established in the global discussions on IGFs. Excuse me. It is important for small states to let their voices be heard in global policy development. And so the internet has become a very important technological tool that provides social and economic opportunity for SIDS. New technologies such as AI are also growing in importance, and we need to understand the implications of these technologies in our daily lives. SIDS IGF gives us an opportunity to hear different perspectives from different stakeholders on issues such as how we as SIDS can ensure resilience in our digital development, how we can better diversify our economies through digital innovation, and leverage digital solutions for environmental sustainability. We note here that within the context of the Antigua and Barbuda Agenda for SIDS, there is a provision for the establishment of a SIDS Center of Excellence in Antigua and Barbuda, which will include, amongst other things, a SIDS Data Hub, a technology and innovation mechanism, and an island investment forum. We hope that over the next 10 years, by the time the next SIDS global conference is staged, that we will have the benefits of the fruits of our labors with respect to this initiative. I also have an interest in seeing the region benefit from this. As far as Antigua is concerned, ever since coming to office in 2014, I would first of all like to testify that I have benefited tremendously from being a fellow minister of the Caribbean Telecommunications Union. It has provided me with a veritable think tank, and it has helped me to ascend rather rapidly the learning curve of all the issues that a minister such as myself need to be aware of. So I want to thank and continually to extend my support to the CTU. I would say here now publicly that my only regret this year is that for the first time in 10 years, I missed the annual meeting of the ministers of telecommunications hosted by the CTU in Belize this year. And this was just because my role has expanded to such an extent that there was a conflict of agendas that I could not resolve to attend the meeting. But Rodney knows I was there in spirit with the meeting. So as far as Antigua is concerned, we have been on a digital trajectory. I am originally a private sector cultivated and developed individual. I worked in the private industry for more than 25 years in telecommunications. And so when I came to government, my role really, I'd seen myself as a transformer and wanted to assist very rapidly with transitioning Antigua from a paper-driven bureaucracy to one that is digitally enabled. The ultimate aim is to ensure that all of the services that the government provides can be done in a digital format and can become available to all of its citizens. The upshot of this, of course, would mean that government will become more accessible and more accountable at the same time. It lends to other initiatives such as data, open data sharing, so many other initiatives that will come from this. But along the way, the capital required to do that, both in terms of finance and in terms of human development, challenges that I have met along the way and are still attempting to circumscribe. Of course, the CTU has been an enabling partner, and I would want to say that part of what's going to take place in this discussion and going beyond here as we continue to embrace this concept would be what's taking place in Rwanda in about 10 days' time. I do intend to be at that forum, of course, facilitated and based on the invitation that has come from my good friend, Mr. Daniels and ICANN. So again, in all of this, there is much to learn, much to give. I would say one final thing here, Rodney, more recently, as far as cybersecurity is concerned, Antigua has not only established its own cert at two levels, both for the government and hopefully to embrace the other stakeholders, including those members of the private sector in terms of our cybersecurity framework. But we have also embraced and we have recently achieved approval from the cabinet to form part of a regional web of cybersecurity agencies to include those within the Caribbean and those within the Latin America region. So as we continue to expand the web of the cybersecurity protection for all of our respective businesses, I'm sure that this will be an aspect of the deliberation today. So once again, a cool or warm welcome, depending on where you're situated, to Antigua. And I'm looking forward to the discussions that we're about to have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. And we know that this week has been tremendously busy for you, so we appreciate you taking the time to give us those words of welcome. You know, the time is very tight in the room, so we'll move to the next speaker, Dr. Lizardo, the Director of Government and Public Administration for the Dominican Republic, and he'll speak on the subject of whole of society approach to digital transformation and sustainable digital solutions. So over to you. Hold it for 2 seconds. 2 seconds and then, right. Oh, just use that.
Hello. Okay, thank you. I got the flu yesterday, so I'll do my best. Okay. First of all, I want to thank the Caribbean Telecommunication Union for the invitation to address you about the whole of society approach to digital transformation and sustainable digital solutions. The case of the Dominican Republic, the experience of our country. We have that. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, in 2001, we started with 3 questions. What does the Dominican Republic as a seat need to be a better place to live and work? And how can we accelerate recovery and rebuild from COVID-19? And what have other countries done to achieve sustainable human, economic, and social development? In that time, we concluded that we achieved it with the digital transformation to make the Dominican Republic more sustainable, more competitive, more productive, fair, equitable, and inclusive, and with a better quality of life. In that time, we built the 2030 Digital Agenda. Our national strategy of digital transformation was a public policy built in consensus with all sectors, as you can see in the next. The construction process of the digital agenda count with thousands of participants, more than 200 organizations from all the country, public sector, private sector, academy, and the NGOs, right? From all the regions of the country. So we built it with the active participation of the whole society. We did it in the middle of the pandemic, right? We come with the cooperation of multiple international organizations like IDP and UNDP, UN, pardon, sorry, UNDP, UNESCO, ICID, USAID, etc. And with the support of big techs of the world, like Microsoft, Google, Amazon Web Service, Huawei, and other ones. So, but because the way we built our agenda, our digital agenda, we won in 2022 the World Information Summit Award in Geneva, in the first place, because the way we built our digital agenda with the participation of the whole community, the whole sectors of the country. Okay. What is the actual digital governance in the Dominican Republic? We have an innovation and digital development cabinet. It's headed by the Ministry of Presidency, the Vice Ministry of Digital Agenda, my Vice Ministry, have the general coordination, and with a Secretariat under the ICTs governmental office. So we have in the cabinet many work tables. The main work tables, as you see, we have the governance and regulatory framework, connectivity and access table. We have the digital education and digital skills, digital government, digital economy, cybersecurity, and technological innovation. That's the mains, the 7 components of the digital agenda. But we have a sectorial work tables too, where the subjects like e-health, statistics, gender, youth, social security and social protection, citizen security, emergency, risk and disasters, geospatial data, and artificial intelligence, and communication strategy are the subjects of those sectoral work tables. The digital agenda have the 7 components that I said, but you can see that 6 transversal policies are taken in account in the construction, in the elaboration of the digital agenda. Human rights, gender approach, environmental sustainability and risk management, and territorial cohesion and social participation is present in every line of action, every objective, and every project of the digital agenda. Okay, the main projects, because in our strategy, we have 142 projects implementing right now. The main projects in every component are these. In governance and regulatory framework, we have a legal and regulatory framework of the ICT sector, law of the simplification procedures and regulatory improvement, personal data protection law, legal framework for the digital economy and the e-commerce. Okay, and the e-commerce, digital identifying framework, telecommunications, ICT fiscal policy, ICT satellite account, national interoperability framework, review of the legal framework of the digital goods and service industry, and cybersecurity law. That's the 10 main projects of this component. In connectivity and access, excuse me, I have to confirm this is right. It's behind me. Okay, the connectivity and access component have these main projects: the 5G deployment, one-stop shop of telecommunications, national police connectivity, the digital television, a hospital network connectivity, connectivity for rural areas with emerging technologies, digital social basket, the national fiber optic network, and deployment of 4G networks in non-covered areas, and a school network connectivity. In the case of digital government, we have as main projects the omni-channel of public services, the government payment gateway, electronic passport, the interoperability platform, the redesign of the public procurement transactional portal, and citizen platform for access to public transport services. And we have two, the national police digital transformation, the deployment of the digital signature of the government, in the government, integrating institutional management system and early warning system as main projects. We have more projects than that, but this is the prioritizes. In the case of e-health, because it's an important issue, it's an important subject, we have these projects: the National e-health strategy, the digital health record, the balance scorecard for health record, the connected medical emergencies, the mobile digital hospital, the digitization of the sanitary registry, the electronic prescription, contact tracing for vaccination registry, the national telemedicine policy, and a national blood system. In the component of education and digital skills, we have the project of redesign educational curriculum by inserting ICTs, STEAM and gender approach, digital educational record, 1424 program, the digital skills for all, the technical training in digital skills in public servants, digital teacher, promotion of STEAM careers in girls and young women, national framework of the digital skills, higher education 4.0, and digital school. Okay, in digital economy component, we have the modernization of logistics services and e-commerce, digital productive chain program, business digital transformation, smart tourist destinations, implementation of open banking schemes, agriculture and livestock 4.0, business development for the digital industry, service-free zones and creative districts, digital MSME service center, and paperless and contactless economy promotion. In the case of cybersecurity component, the update on the national cybersecurity strategy, the national cyber risk analysis, the strengthening institution for care and response to cyber incidents, cybersecurity awareness program for the population, cybersecurity specialized training plan, national cyber crisis response plan, and volunteering and academic alliance to strengthen cybersecurity. We also have the Bank of Cyber Talent at the national level, promote of the formation of sectoral associates and program specialized in cyber crimes for actors of the judiciary. At the end, the last component, the technological innovation, have the project spaces and for fostering and promoting technological innovation, research and development, tax incentive, promotion of business digital innovation, financing for scientific and technological development, a stimulus plan to increase entrepreneurial capital, the regional committees of science, technology, and innovation for development, the Center of Excellence in Research and Development, creation of open innovation program, the promotion of scientific popularization and technological innovation award. So as you can see, it's many, many projects. Most of them are in a good pace of execution. Others, of course, have some problems, institutional problems, financial problems, different kind of problems that all our countries are get used to, right? So, but it's a very, as you can see, very holistic strategy we are implementing right now. Okay, so I want to finish with, because we are in a conference, or small islands that are developing states. we have the same problems. We are small, but we can, working together, be greater. In this case, we are talking about islands of the Caribbean. So I want to let you with the phrase of Henry Ford that, sorry. Okay. The phrase of arriving together is beginning, keeping together is progress, but working together is success. Thank you very much.
Thank you as well, Dr. Lizardo. And you finished just in time, but we have a few more minutes and we are happy to entertain questions. And just so we know the format, there are 3 keynotes. Like this, that's the first one. Then we'll have a panel discussion, but for every session, there's the opportunity to ask questions. And I want to ask the first one, if you don't mind. But if you have one, I'll actually give it to you. So go ahead. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So my first question is, as small states, we often see Singapore as a success story. Is Singapore one of the countries that that you had benchmarked the DR against? What are some of the other countries that if you've looked at to benchmark your progress? Is Singapore one, for example, that you've seen, or are there any others as small states that you are aiming to be like, as it were?
Singapore is a case. Okay, Singapore is a case, of course, and Estonia is another case because they are very small. They are not island, but they are resourceless, small. They explode the asset of today, the knowledge. They did it 30 years ago. They were and are very successful. Indeed, they achieved the first place in digital government in Europe. Estonia, a small country. So we are working with them. In fact, the interoperability platform, we are using X-Road, donated by them. They train us to use it. We are using it. We are implementing. Of course, the interoperability platform, we have internal issues to advance, not technical issues, because you have to confront the administrative, political issues, the administrative and political culture to advance in interoperability. But we are doing okay. So that are example for us. I was talking before about Korea, South Korea. It's a case. Yes, it's an economic power today, but 70 years ago, they had nothing, absolutely nothing. I dare start to explode the knowledge. So that are a very good example for us.
Yes, Nigel Casimir, the Deputy Secretary General of CTU. My question is about the process you used in developing your agenda for 2030, the award-winning agenda. To what extent was the opposition in Parliament a part of the process? I'm wondering if you have a change of government, will it take the agenda off track, or is it like an accepted national plan that you think could survive a change?
Okay, there was something I didn't say. In the process of discussion with the society, participated all the political parties. So this is maybe the only public policy that we have a real consensus in Dominican Republic. So that facilitate all the draft laws we submit to the Congress, right? It's very important. It's very important. It's a subject that you can sit with the political opposition and discuss, because everybody knows the importance today of the digital transformation.
Thank you very much. So that's it. We will move now to Ms. Limia Iltayeb, resident representative of UNDP, to speak on identifying vulnerabilities and assessing risk to enhance digital resilience and meet the SDGs in SIDS.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Minister Nicholas, thank you for the warm welcome, and hopefully it's a cool conversation.
That's a big benefit.
And Dr. Lizardo, really thank you for the really holistic approach. It's really eye-opening, and really congratulations to Belize for this approach. No wonder you wanna prize, a global prize. And as I expected, and I told you on the side, you're going to say everything, leaving nothing for me, but I'm going to pivot. I'm going to pivot. So I'm not going to talk about how the digital agenda of the world and of nations and of the region and of SIDS in particular have to be inclusive, resilient, and accessible, which is the theme. I'm going to add a couple words that I want to talk about. One is people, and that's where you started and ended, and I'll start there. The second is around scale. The third is around data. And the fourth is how we adapt as we move forward. And I think what your experience highlighted very clearly is the importance of structuring any digital holistic strategy around people, their current needs, their future aspirations, because digital is a way into the future, and hopefully a fast track for many countries and many individuals and families. But also digital in itself is not the goal. Digital is a means to a goal. Digital is how we want to achieve social justice and social equality, to do it more quickly and to address structural problems that we have in governments or in social systems, or structural vulnerabilities even. Digital is a means to address climate change and open up new pathways, whether it's wave energy through digital, or agriculture through digital, or jobs through digital. Digital is a means of addressing climate change in terms of early warning systems and how to be prepared. Digital is a means of reshaping the economy for people, but ensuring that that economy is accessible to those most left behind, and not for the rich that can afford the digital and the internet. So for us, I think we always have to come back to that concept of people. Why do we want digital? 50 years from now, it won't be digital and AI. It will be in a different industrial revolution of some sort. It won't be the industrial or the digital revolution. It'll be a new term, a new phenomena. But it's always around the people. And I think I wanted to start with that because you did it so eloquently, but it's also the part that we sometimes forget. Why are we doing all of these digital transformation strategies? Why are we investing in digital, even though sometimes the infrastructure is expensive? It's because we want to use it as a way so that those that are most left behind and most vulnerable have access to services, have access to courts, so that court backlogs are addressed, so that police case management is digitalized. And these are some of the things that UNDP has been supporting governments. Governments have taken incredible strides in the Caribbean in these areas, and UNDP has supported. We've supported police case management. We've supported judicial case management and backlog. We've supported digital ID for some governments. We've supported digital literacy in some countries. We've supported digital literacy specifically for the elderly in some countries. And these are some of the things that are happening here in the Caribbean, in SIDS, throughout the countries that you represent in this room. So that's the people. The scale is important. One of the issues with investments around digital is that a lot of SIDS are small in scale. And so the market case becomes an issue. And I think here again, we have to go back to why we are doing it. The ethics and the trust behind why we are doing it. So you're asking me about vulnerabilities. I'm talking about both at the same time. why are we making these large investments even though it's a small scale market? And how can we find a way to address that issue? And that is a real issue. Because if the market is not going to make the case for those investments. And here I want to introduce the concept of the public sector can't do it alone, the private sector can do it. It is very much a partnership between public and private for a whole of society solution. And it's an interdependency between the public and the private. So the public sector has to make sure the regulations and the frameworks are there, the policy frameworks, all the incentives are there. The private sector also has to see where the benefits come from for them. And we have to use that to leverage new jobs, green jobs, blue jobs, jobs of the future. That entails another vulnerability under it, capacities and skills to be able to ensure that those jobs are jobs for your country, your youth, your people that we started with. And so this is the second thing. How do we make the issue of scale, and how do we address it, and how do we discuss it and unpack it, and what sort of solutions can we come across? The third thing I wanted to say is data. And as you can imagine, for us, working in development and in UNDP and the UN, data is crucial. Because if we're going to make the digital revolution work for the poor and most vulnerable, we need to have the data. We need to know where they are. We need to know what it is they're not accessing. But technology offers this incredible platform. Big data, open data, public goods, public sources, crowd data, crowd information, crowd financing. I mean, we've never lived in a time with such opportunities in front of us. How do we leverage them? But at the same time, coming back to the trust and the ethics, how do we ensure that there's security and protection as we're leveraging it, so that people's personal data is not out there? How do we ensure that we're using that data for those most needy and not for the biggest hotel tourism company out there, which could pay for it and doesn't need government subsidy and government leverages and government incentives? And so how do we sort some of those questions as we are addressing this? Data is incredibly important for all of the development work that the UN, UNDP, and private sector and whole of society invest in. It is the only way to have informed policy is to build on the data. And then how do we make all of this accessible? How do we make it affordable? How do we make it accurate? And how do we make it innovative? And I think there are many examples around the world. In UNDP, we're very fortunate for the Caribbean. We have an innovation lab in Barbados that serves the Eastern Caribbean. We've done some very innovative, there's the Dominica Online Work Program, where more than 75 youth, through just one call, were able to find jobs online because of the digital skills and the branding and the marketing that was open from their homes in Dominica, working for companies globally. Barbados, the welcome stamp, look how successful that was during COVID, allowing people who want to work online to come into Barbados and work from the beauty of the beach everywhere around the world. 3D printing and how we can use that for persons with disabilities and children with disabilities in education. 360 cameras, we're using virtual reality through our innovation lab to create experiences with diving with whales outside Dominica. One, as a tourism brand. Two, for persons with disabilities who can't dive. We're doing Kalinago virtual trails up in the mountains for those who cannot access the trails because of disability, but also promoting the Kalinago brand. It is limitless what we can do. And I will end on a positive note by saying, I don't think we have ever been richer than we are today. I don't think we have ever been more interconnected in how we can share our lessons learned and experiences today. I don't think we have had an era where public goods are so accessible. Almost all of the projects that I just named that UNDP has supported We have made the digital good a public good. It's called Digital X. It's online. The police case management that we launched in 7 countries is available online. We've had other countries coming to us saying, okay, let's contextualize this. It's free, it's there. The same we're gonna do with the judiciary, the judicial backlogging, the digital one that we're currently working on. It will be publicly available. The countries that were not part of the program can download it, contextualize it, and we can help contextualize it at a mere cost of the original cost of creating. So we are in an era of access to information, and you were talking about the knowledge economy. Access to information is phenomenal because of the digital revolution. But how do we use that information, make it accessible, make it affordable, and make it within reach? I'll stop there, but thank you everyone, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. And we'll open the floor for questions. Yes, Nia, you have a question? Just actually, if we can keep one of these mics. Yes, roving, please.
Good afternoon. Nia Nanan, Senior Research Analyst at the CTU, and congratulations on your highly successful projects across the region. I had one question under the theme of promoting inclusivity. Are there any key learning lessons that you can share with us in promoting digital literacy, particularly among populations such as the elderly that may be very averse to change, where there's a situation nationally where there's low public trust in government institutions?
Hello. So yeah, I mean, we have some really good examples about for digital literacy. I think Dominican Republic and Belize have some examples. And the beauty is we can draw on those examples that are examples of the member states. We are just the catalytic supporter in the space and a transfer of information and technology. There has to be a real movement and an awareness raising about the opportunities, not just general awareness and raising about, you know, how important it is. It's really about advocating what opportunities are out there and making sure that there is an awareness of what can be done. Bless you. I think that in itself will ensure that there is an engagement of all ages, all spheres, all walks of life, because it opens up doors. And I don't think we've done enough of that awareness. We speak to ourselves. But have we showcased some of these fantastic examples, these successes, and made them available and made the technology available and the learning available so that it's quicker and easier? Have we gone out there and really publicized what the gains are for the farmer when they have early warning on their mobile, especially in a region that is this volatile and exposed? Have we done enough of those awareness? And you will find that I hate using it because I'm older. The more mature farmers will probably be the first, because they realize the damage it can do to all of their investments and their crops. Having said that, I think there's a huge opportunity in youth. They are the innovators, they are the app developers. And what I really hope will happen is that SIDS will not be consumers of the digital technologies, but actual producers of new products and new innovations. And I think it's not possible to de-link digital and innovation.
Thank you very much. Yes, we're just on time to move on. Yeah, unfortunately, I did kick us out if you don't. So I'm going to go to the third keynote before we move into the panel. And that's being done by Dr. Curtis Charles. And the topic is the role of AI, artificial intelligence, which is a very trending topic now, and the fourth industrial revolution, digital technologies in building resilient SIDS. So over to you, Dr. Charles.
Good afternoon. Thanks everyone for inviting me. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. So I was asked to talk about the role of AI in the fourth industrial revolution, and what I wanted to do is skip that a little bit because we know the impact that AI and fourth industrial revolution and technologies are doing. So what I wanted to do was to go 10 years ahead of us, sort of like a futurist approach. And imagine you're 10 years from now, the headline is a decade of digital transformation. Antigua and Barbuda leads the way in economic resilience. Welcome to good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to 2034. Today, I am thrilled to share the remarkable journey of Antigua and Barbuda over the past decade. I didn't even know the minister was going to be here. A journey that began with the UN CITES conference held in Antigua in 2024. Our island nation has emerged as a beacon of economic resilience and technology innovations, setting a new standard for the rest of the world. The cornerstone of our success has been our commitment to leveraging technology and artificial intelligence to enhance the blue economy and protect our cultural heritage and ensure sustainable development. The beginning, UN CITES Conference 2024. It all started at the UN CITES Conference 2024, recognizing that transformative potential of technology. We embarked on an ambitious agenda focused on economic resilience. Our vision was clear: to harness the power of artificial intelligence and advanced technologies to safeguard our national resources. Key programs in 2024 to 2025. One, the Blue Economy Transformation Initiative. In late 2024, we launched the Blue Economy Transformation Initiative, anchored by the University of the West Indies 5 Island campus, Center of Excellence for Oceanography and the Blue Economy. And the Blue Economy, this initiative aimed to integrate artificial intelligence and Internet of Things into our fishery, tourism, and renewable energy sectors. By 2025, we had implemented several AI solutions. One, fisheries management. Artificial intelligence algorithms predicted fish population and optimized sustainable fishing practices. Sensors monitored ocean conditions in real time, providing data to fishermen and policymakers. Tourism enhancement. Virtual reality and augmented reality technologies offered virtual tours to our coral reefs, attracting eco-tourists worldwide. Artificial intelligence-powered chatbots provided personalized experience, ensuring visitors enjoy their stay while learning about our marine economy. Renewable energy. AI optimized the placement of powered operations of wind and wave energy installed, maximizing energy population while minimizing environmental impact. Two, cultural heritage. Understanding the importance of our cultural heritage, we initiated a cultural heritage digitization project. By early 2025, we had digitized thousands of artifacts and historical sites using 3D scanning and virtual reality technologies. This not only preserved our heritage, but it also made it accessible to people and visitors worldwide. Economic resilience through PII protection. We recognize that safeguarding personal information, personal identification information was critical to economic resilience. In 2024, we implemented robust data protection measures, data minimization, and encryption. We collected only the necessary PIIs and used strong encryption methods to protect it in transit as well as in rest. Strict access control and encryption techniques assure that PPI was only accessible to authorized personnel and was protected from unauthorized access. Regularly audits and employing training programs ensure that the data protection measures were up to date at all times. Achievements by 2034. Led by the University of the West Indies 5 Island campus, Center of Excellence for Blue Economy and Oceanography, by 2034, our blue economy had thrived beyond expectation. Sustainable fishing practices ensured abundant fish population while ecotourism flourished, bringing in significant revenue. Renewable energy protected projects provided clean power, reducing carbon footprint, and fostering energy independence. Our cultural heritage project turned Antigua and Barbuda into a global treasure. Virtual and augmented reality experiences attracted millions of virtual tourists annually, and our digital archive became invaluable resource for researchers and historians. The road ahead. As we look at the future, our journey is far from over. We continue to innovate, adapt, and grow. The lessons learned and the successes achieved over the past decade serve as a foundation for an even brighter future. Our commitment for leveraging technology and artificial intelligence for sustainable development and economic resilience remains unwavering. In conclusion, the story of Antigua and Barbuda from 2024 to 2034 is one of transformation, innovation, and resilience. We have shown that with a clear vision, strategic planning, and the right technology, small island development states can lead the way in creating a sustainable and prosperous future. As they say in Jamaica, there might be little, but we caliber. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to continuing this journey together as we build the future.
We have it all on camera. The only thing that you would I think in the future we'd like to know how Antigua and Barbuda, leveraging artificial intelligence, will lead the resurgence of West Indies cricket. You must add that part in there.
Well, one of my favorite movie is Moneyball. And if you haven't seen Moneyball, you need to go and see it tonight. So the same thing we did with Moneyball and baseball. So just quickly, Moneyball was this, the Cleveland A's they were below the bottom in baseball, American cricket. So I don't think Americans will like that. So what it did is that they started with a statistician, and instead of buying a player for like millions of dollars who could hit runs, what the data told them is that they could buy several cheaper that could hit several smaller runs and they hit. It's an amazing movie of data analytics, and I think as some people are doing it. I think Hayville is doing some work on that, and we intend to do some work on it as well. Moneyball, you got to see Moneyball. Yes, you got to see Moneyball.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience or online? Remember, we have it. Okay, 2 questions. We take Dr. Lang and then.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for taking my question. This has to do with the underpinnings that we need to manage the technology, because technology is easy, but the human personalities, human proclivities have not changed. And so I would like to find out, what are the laws that are being enacted to underpin all of this fast-moving technology? And I speak of this especially because we are looking at youth, and youth are engaging in this technology. It's natural to them. But I also am very aware that when the US sneezes, we catch cold. And right now we have, with AI technology, for example, women and girls, but especially girls, are being exploited in terrible ways. And we also have the situation, I'm so glad he mentioned the personally identified information, that's also always at risk. But I know that the human condition is not changing, nothing new under the sun, just the technology to do both good and harm is amazing. I just wanted to find out from the ministers present or others who have been engaging in this, what are the underpinnings you have in terms of the legal recourses to take when the bad things are done? Thank
you. To address that? Well, since you presented on AI, what sort of legal and regulatory environment would we need to ensure that there's this protection of PII and that these technologies are used in a responsible way?
Thank you. So
at the University of West Indies, we have this big discussion that's going on right now. And yesterday we approved AI policy. So I was on the committee and I kept telling them, you know, if we do this policy, it's going to change tomorrow, right? So the good and bad of this is that obviously there are going to have to be some type of regulations. Are we ready for regulations right now? I don't think so. I think the technology is at a very early stage. We need, well, not AI, because AI has been around since 1952, but the evolution of generative AI and fourth industrial and fifth industrial revolution technologies are extremely young, especially fifth industrial. So I am not for regulation. Let me just say that, because I think if we put a lasso around this technology, the bad folks are going to find a way around, while the good folks who want to do things with technology is going to be, they're not going to be able to do the innovation that they want to do. So I think it's a competitive field out there. I think there's always good and bad. And one of the things I tell people all the time is that when the car was innovated, the guy who was driving the donkey, he was complaining, right? So there are always going to be innovations when they have the ability to grow and it changes your comfort level. So I think, you know, I think we have a way to go from laws from right now, but I think we all need to be vigilant in terms of this technology. I want my goal at the university, coming there 4 years ago and starting the School of Science, Computing and Artificial Intelligence, is to make sure that the university, to make sure that the West Indies and the Caribbean doesn't get left behind. So we're developing an entire new generation of young tech entrepreneurs that looks like us, which is unheard of in the US. So we want them to be able to have the ability to create and to put in laws right now that basically puts them in a cage. I don't think we're ready for that right now. I want to see us explore and basically close the technology gap that exists between us and some of the first world countries.
Yes, let me add a little further to that. If you are starting from in an early position, you're a bit low down the rung. There are a few pieces of common legislation that exists in the region covering issues such as data protection, cybersecurity, cybercrime, sorry, and there's also the bit of legislation governing digital identities. So there are three Electronic Transactions Act, for example, that embraces the whole concept of digital IDs. So those are some of the fundamental frameworks, those bits of legislation. They are available in Antigua or anywhere else in the OECS. There was a bit of work that was sponsored by the CTU and HIPCA to be able to make this legislation common across the region. But with respect to AI, I think this is a new area. While the good professor is advocating a bit of openness, and there's merit in what he's saying, but there are certain ethics that will come with AI. And I believe there are certain ethical frameworks that are now being considered and that are being promulgated. I don't think there is any common framework yet to consider, you know, what will be considered a modern standard for ethical AI use, but it is certainly being promulgated and is something that is under study. Yeah.
Go for it. No problem.
Hi, Siobhan Green from USAID, and this is a fantastic conversation. Just to say also the conversations about the ethics and so forth are also happening at the GDC level. So this is not just in SIDS, this is across the world. So hopefully people are fully engaging there as well. But I wanted to ask the question about the connection between data privacy protection and economic resilience. Data governance is one of my areas of expertise, and so I sort of can tell that story, but I would love to hear you talk about why those two things are interrelated, because especially with data monetization and data brokers, how does data protection actually lend itself to economic resilience? Thank you.
And how does it connect to economic resilience? Sounds like it. Could you connect the question a little bit more?
Sure. So in your 3 points of sort of the 10 years in the future, you'd mentioned data protection and economic resilience as sort of an underpinning of economic resilience.
Right.
And would be great to hear more about sort of a little bit more about how those two are very closely connected.
Well, I think, you know, for economic resilience, obviously you want to have some level of free market. And to have some level of free market, you have to have some level of free movement of data, if you want to call it that. But when I say I am not for laws, I'm for data protection. I mean, I think the GDPR is probably the best example right now of basically how we protect ourselves. So I think having a structure like GDPR is what we were thinking about when we're thinking about the future. And for those of you who don't know what GDPR is, basically it's the ability that you control your data. And if this is from the Eastern European Union. And in the European Union, even if they have a university that a student from the European Union is doing work with a student in the Caribbean, the university in the Caribbean still have to honor the GDPR. So it's probably one of the most freedom way in terms of how you could have economic sustainability in the region. And I would love to see a GDPR like in the Caribbean.
Yes, sorry to curtail that discussion. I know we can go on for a while, but we will switch out the head table now to go into the next segment, which is a panel discussion. Can you stay with us, or should we take an?
If you wish, Mercedes.
Yes, thank you very much. So you want to take an official? Take it now? Oh, he's staying. Okay. The rest of us can go. You want me to? Oh, okay. But you won't have enough space. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for our keynote speakers. And thank you. Okay. Good. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're coming. So. Come over. Yeah, I'll be here. Nia.
Okay.
You want me here? Okay.
Yeah, we fit. No, you stay. It's fine. It's fine, we can fit. It's okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Again, my name is Nia Nanan. I am the Senior Research Analyst at the CTU, the Caribbean Telecommunications Union. And it is my pleasure to welcome you to our short but pivotal panel discussion at our second SIDS IGF, where we're going to touch on the current realities and experiences of SIDS within global digital governance processes. With us today, we're honored to be joined by esteemed representatives from our partner agencies such as the ITU, Mr. Cleveland Thomas, Area Representative, ICANN, Mr. Albert Daniels, Senior Manager, Stakeholder Engagement for the Caribbean, and the Commonwealth Secretariat, Ms. Vashti Maharaj, who is the head of the Commonwealth Connectivity Agenda. The presence of our key stakeholders on this panel this afternoon underscores the global recognition of the critical role that SIDS play in shaping the digital future. SIDS occupy a unique and crucial position within global digital governance. The digital landscape presents both profound opportunities and significant challenges for SIDS, affecting everything from economic resilience, which we touched on earlier, to environmental sustainability and inclusive development. Our islands, while diverse in culture and geography, share common vulnerabilities and aspirations that bind us together in this digital age. The CTU has been actively collaborating with ICANN to develop a designated space for SIDS within the ICANN framework. This initiative is one step closer towards the commitment to ensuring that the voices of SIDS are heard and that their unique perspectives are integrated into global governance processes. Our work with the ITU and the Commonwealth Secretariat have also been instrumental in promoting the active participation of Caribbean member states within these organizations' processes and initiatives. And it is our goal to extend this engagement to include all SIDS, fostering a truly inclusive and representative dialogue. But to elaborate on this further, I invite our speakers to tell us more about the involvement of SIDS within their respective global governance processes. And to do so, I'll first hand over to Mr. Cleveland Thomas, Area Representative, ITU.
Thank you, and good afternoon to you. The International Telecommunications Union, most of you may not be aware, we celebrate the fact that we are the oldest UN agency in the world, celebrating over 150 plus years in our operation, specialized in ICTs. I think that's worthy of a round of applause. Yes? It is. It is. I have been told 5 minutes max, if anything, to just probably elaborate a bit more on what the ITU is doing as far as SIDS is concerned. Some of you may have been in the room where our director, Dr. Cosma Zavazava, presented before in a number of areas in elaborating on our work and speaking specifically on the Development Bureau of the ITU. One of the key things that we look at is really dealing with connectivity and the extent to which we can perhaps bridge some of the challenges or the divide that you have throughout the world. We look at substantially 2 strategic priorities, those being universal connectivity and sustainable digital transformation. Now, we have a lot of distinguished members here on the panel, and perhaps what I will do before sharing some of the things we are doing within the ITU as far as SIDS is concerned is to share some data with you, some measurements that most of us may not be aware of as far as SIDS is concerned. Because to date, as far as internet use is concerned in the world, we are speaking about 57 SIDS countries in the world overall. And when we talk about internet growth or so forth, our studies show that just about 8.4% annual growth since 2014 to 2023, against a global growth rate of 6.7. So SIDS growth is above that of the growth globally. We also have information that shows that despite that 2/3 of SIDS population was online by 2023. The world average far less than the world average overall. And that we recognize that there is a problem in our studies concerning 3 areas: affordability, infrastructure, and capacity. So when we look further from the information, this is not where the ITU is doing it on our own. It's based on questions that we sent out and getting feedback from a number of our members. Price, for instance, for entry level for fixed broadband, base for SIDS was 46% above the world median average. And price for data on mobile broadband was almost twice that of the world's median average. Quite expensive overall. 18% of the population in SIDS had access to internet but did not use it. So even though you have access, about 18% of its members are not using it. And 74% of individuals in SIDS own mobile phone, and close to the global average, about 78%. Now, I can go on and on about a lot of good figures that we have within the ITU. But speaking specifically to the question as to what we are doing within the ITU as far as SIDS are concerned in helping deal with some of these challenges, we work with governments, we work in collaboration with a lot of our partners, and those within the UN agency, private sector, etc. And we have some beautiful programs to treat with some of these challenges overall. With CTU, we are working right now together with them in looking at a regional harmonized approach for regulation and policy. I just see the gentleman walking here from the EU. One of the questions he raised earlier is, why are we having every single country in the Caribbean dealing with big data, dealing with data center, dealing with policy? Why don't we have some kind of harmonized approach? So the CTU, ITU working on dealing with some of those challenges. We also have the EID. That's an important item. We heard earlier from USAID rep speaking to some of the things on policies and regulation, data protection, as far as security and engendering trust. Again, the ITU is working with a lot of countries within the region. And just a few others in my last minute. National Emergency Telecoms Plan, dealing with issues as it relates to emergency and climate change. Our colleagues here doing a lot of work with governments in helping you develop your National Emergency Telecom Plan, taking it from a macro level all the way through for the different stages. And we can't at all forget some of the things that we are doing as far as school connectivity is concerned. CERT, National CERT and Cybercrime and Security. So through the ITU, we are working with governments, we are working with our partners around the table here and elsewhere with the objective of fostering economic growth, using social development, and using the technology as best as we can. I see a red flag up there. That's a sign for me to stop. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Moving quickly along. I'd like to invite Mr. Albert Daniels, Senior Manager, Stakeholder Engagement for the Caribbean, ICANN.
Thank you very much, Nia. Honorable Minister, members of the head table, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'll get straight into it. Just by a quick show of hands, how many in the room know what ICANN does or have heard about ICANN? 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe about a third of the room. That's pretty good, actually, because most times when I attend these conferences, most of the persons, including ministerial level representatives from, the countries that I represent, are not familiar with ICANN. Now, I looked with great interest at the presentation of Dr. Lizardo, and many, if perhaps more than 90% of the projects that he listed all depend on a stable, single, open, interoperable internet. There is no question in our minds that we all need a functioning internet for all aspects of our economic and social development, especially moving forward. The minister opened his remarks by saying that the voice of SIDS is very important when it comes to internet governance. Now, ICANN is an ecosystem where many, if not most of the decisions, policy decisions with regard to the kind of internet that we have for economic and social development are made. Wouldn't it be a good idea for SIDS to be present in that forum so that their interests, their concerns, their strategies, what they would like to see are actually taken into consideration when these policies are being developed? Of course it would be. The way ICANN operates is that a multi-stakeholder approach is used to identifying policy issues and actually developing policy where governments, business, civil society, academia, technical community, and end users from the 5 traditional geographic regions meet and they decide on what type of internet we end up with. The interesting thing is that the traditional view of geographic regions is used. 5 geographic regions. We have 3 meetings per year. The minister mentioned that he's going to the next meeting that is taking place in Kigali. But what we have found in those meetings is that the participation of SIDS is low to non-existent. So we asked, why is this the situation? We put out a survey and we asked questions, why aren't SIDS participating? And what we got back was that There's a problem with resources of time and finances. There's a problem of capacity and awareness and engagement. And we also heard some interesting things about location and also size being problems. Ironically, when we looked at the results of the surveys, it was the response of the interviewees, the respondents, but a lot of the responses that we got were not actually accurate. One of the responses was that while we have many opportunities for financial participation, SIDS was saying, well, we don't feel that Antigua or Grenada or Dominica will get a financial opportunity to attend because they are very small. That is not the case. So the whole idea is that we need as SIDS to participate in ICANN so that we understand how policy is developed so that our input can actually feature. And when it comes to cybersecurity, internet governance policy, sharing of best practice, and so on, if we do not participate, then our interests and our needs are not actually going to be served. So that was just the first two sentences in my notes there, but I have to hand the mic over because I'm getting the look from the back.
Yeah, so we know that they've been very, very strict with our time limit. So we're trying to stick to time. So we're moving very quickly, and feel free to engage with all of our speakers after they've kicked us out of the room. So that we're very quickly handing over to Ms. Vashti Maharaj, head of the Commonwealth Connectivity Agenda at the Commonwealth Secretariat.
Thank you. Well, the good thing about going last is everybody said everything before. So now it's just really to surmise, and I can do this very quickly. You know, what we do at the Commonwealth Connectivity Agenda is it's recognized as that, as you have indicated, the world is more interconnected more now than ever. And I think one of the things that we champion and we work with CTU with is that, particularly coming out of this conference, small island developing states have similar problems. And I think that there needs to be more peer-to-peer knowledge exchange, but more peer-to-peer collaboration. And we have been working with the CTU to allow for that knowledge exchange through the Commonwealth Connectivity Knowledge Exchange Grant. And it is also, Cleveland, in relation to the harmonized legal infrastructure for telecommunications, where you can learn from the experience of other regions that have done it, learn from their challenges, and be able to move on. One of the things that have come out during this conversation is that though you are small island member states and with limited resources, nothing holds you back from being a great ICT economic superpower. But what we have to do, just like DDR has done it, is do it in a smart, strategic, and integrated way. And I think it's a good lesson that we can learn. The second thing I'd just like to touch on is that we are presuming that AI and manufacturing 4.0 is a global solution that will save the world. But as you pointed out, technology is a means to an end. It's not a panacea. And one of the things that we need to acknowledge is that many SIDS are not actually on the actual pathway to meeting their 2030 goals and their mandate. And we need to really come together to think, why is this and how do we bridge this gap? We have particular problems that we face. We are susceptible to certain vulnerabilities, certain fiscal capacity, like, you know, when you have to make big economic decisions, ICT or health, or ICT and education. So what needs to be done is we need to identify specific targeted programs. And one of the things that's really important that has come out during this conversation that we really do champion is that you're not walking this path alone. So the involvement of regional organizations that can really share or leverage the use of national NRIs, for example. I know that you'd even mentioned the Regional Committee for STI, but by learning and also collaborating effectively on a regional basis, you're able to maximize from economies of scale and even benefit from the experiences of other countries. Yes, 1 minute. So the last thing I have to say is that when we look at appropriate leveraging of opportunities, one of the things that we've noticed, just as there have been a convergence of technology over the years, you know, you now have telecommunications providers providing every service. Well, there's been a communications in a way there has been convergence in the way that we need to approach technology. Most governments have a separate department for technology, a separate department for telecommunications, a separate one for youth, a separate one for climate change and sustainability. But I think in the discussions that have come out this week, it is very clear that they're all interconnected. So we really need to look at how we take a converged approach towards governance and really getting all the necessary voices to the table. Have I done well, Time Master?
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. I think we can probably squeeze in one question if there are any questions in the room. Yes?
Thank you. My name is Andy E. Williams, and I represent the Dynamic Coalition on SIDS in the Internet Economy. So one of the things that I've heard repeatedly is that there needs to be more cooperation. I would see this as, I would raise the question whether there needs to be more collective intelligence, that is collectively intelligent cooperation. So when it comes to introducing technology into SIDS, or increasing the deployment of technology, technology can be deployed in a zero-sum environment where it leads to an increase in inequality, actually, or it can be deployed in a non-zero-sum environment where it increases collective benefit. So I was speaking with some of the attendees before this panel, and the key question that I have is networks of things that cooperate can achieve vastly, if not exponentially greater impact on whatever goal that it is you're trying to achieve per program dollar. So that means if you're looking to achieve, if you have $1,000 and you have 1,000 times the impact, that's the effective impact of $1 million. And we see these impacts, we see these increases in impacts in various places. So the question is, how do we reliably ensure that we are looking for these network effects, this collective intelligence that can multiply the impact of the programs we're looking to implement?
I'm going to answer that because we're out of time. And I will say that this is exactly what we're trying to do by grouping small island states with similar issues and challenges and opportunities together. So the way that ICANN is structured is not necessarily conducive to us as small states. ICANN has regions and they're underserved regions. The way that it is structured in terms of its communities and committees and so on, we have had to try to find a space in there that we can collectively, because we don't have, like for these meetings, the US will have 200 people. For ITU meetings, the delegations 300 and 400, right? The Caribbean will have maybe 10 or 15. So we're saying, well, we don't have, we don't have the space to send 50 people to the meeting. So how can we work together to ensure that we are still keeping track and we're still making a contribution and still shaping the policy collectively, rather than trying to, to compete, as it were, with the United States and Canada that has all of these experts, so private sector, from the technical community, from NGOs, all of that. We don't have it. So how can we work together? If we do that, then our voices are stronger, our expertise is exponentially multiplied. So we can talk about it after, but we're completely out of time. I will pass over to Nigel to just give some next steps, and you can also close off the session. And we want to take an official photo and just give a few tokens to our keynote speakers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, SG. My role is to give a few notes about what we are closing off, which is the second SIDS IGF. And as the SG said at the beginning, it was a two-part thing, and this is the second part, which is in person. And yesterday we actually had a fully virtual event. The themes that were addressed, well, the overall theme is there: leveraging digital governance for resilient prosperity in SIDS. is a theme we chose that was very well aligned with the theme of this SIDS4 conference, which is like charting the course towards. And we've looked at the role of ICTs in sustainable development of SIDS. We looked at digital resilience, and especially so in the context of environmental sustainability, digital inclusion, particularly related to prosperity and social, economic and social development, digital governance, and the vulnerabilities and approaches. The last question related to how do we ensure that our collaborations are fruitful. We also noted global processes ongoing. I mean, we're right here now in SIDS4, and there's this outcome document, which is fondly referred to as ABAS, Antigua and Barbuda Agenda for SIDS. And we're happy to see some significant reference to ICTs and technology in facilitating the goals of the agenda. So it would fall upon us thereafter then to make it happen, right? And organizations like CTU and the governments themselves and so on really have to find ingenious implementation means to cost effectively achieve everything that we want to achieve. One of the things we didn't mention too much today, but was also addressed significantly in the second SIDS IGF, is the Global Digital Compact. And this is another process of the UN that's ongoing that will come to a head in September at the Summit of the Future, where this Global Digital Compact is supposed to be adopted. We did look at that in some detail and noted the opportunities still existing for us to make some input into that through our governments. It is at a stage now where it's a second draft stage. I think they called it Rev 1, right? And we looked at that a bit, and we in the CTU would also help to our Caribbean member states to make inputs to that. We also noted that there's a Wishes Plus 20 process in train, which would also impact on the future of the UN's Internet Governance Forum itself. Other things that we noticed were in IG processes in multiple internet organizations. We heard from ITU and ICANN here on this panel, and the need for SIDS perspectives and inputs to be heard and had in shaping the outcomes there. So looking forward, just let me say some key strategic issues that came out, and we heard some of them mentioned by panelists earlier. One was people first, keeping people at the center of development. The second was the value of collaborations and partnerships, and we want to get the most out of that by hopefully the output would be greater than the sum of its parts. And resilient infrastructure, universal and affordable access, cybersecurity, and so on. So we in the CTU coordinate Caribbean Internet Governance Forum. As Vashti said, it's the oldest regional Internet Governance Forum in the world. We will have our 20th CIGF in August of this year in Guyana. And the outputs from this SIDS IGF, in addition to some of the other topics that I've mentioned, would be addressed there. So we will continue our advocacy for SIDS generally, some of the examples you've heard here, and we will continue coordinating our role. We are going to continue our coordinating role in the Caribbean with respect to internet governance development. So I'll leave it there with outputs.
Thank you very much. We just have a few tokens. Unfortunately, we don't have for everyone, so we're just giving to the keynote speakers. So please forgive me. We're going to hand the first token to the Minister Nicholas for taking the time to join us today, please. Maybe you can present it. No, I'll present it.
Dr. Luzado.
Thank you very much for taking. Good job.
Right. I know. Miss El Tayeb and Dr. Charles. Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Charles, please.
Thank you. I wanted to meet that.
Yeah.
You'll get us in or?
Oh, it's right. No. I put you all in the middle. No, I'll be on that side. Okay, no problem. Smile. Yeah.
Good. Good. Yeah. All right, listen,
Hi, good afternoon. Could everyone just, hi.
So,